Karen threw hot water on my pregnant disabled wife over some flowers. She thought she was powerful as HOA president. She smiled when my wife cried in pain. But Karen didn't know who I really was, and now she's about to find out the hard way. Before watching full story, comment below from where are you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The morning sun was shining through our kitchen window when my wife Sarah told me the news. She was 6 months pregnant and glowing with happiness. We had moved to Maple Street just 3 months ago, hoping for a peaceful place to raise our growing family. I'm going to water the flowers in the front yard, Sarah said, her hand gently touching her belly. The baby loves it when I'm outside. I smiled and kissed her forehead. Be careful, sweetheart. Call me if you need anything. Sarah had been born with a leg condition that made walking difficult, but she never let it stop her from doing the things she loved. She was the strongest person I knew, and I loved her more than anything in the world. I was working in my home office when I heard shouting from outside. At first I thought it was just kids playing, but then I heard Sarah's voice crying out in pain and fear. I ran to the window and saw something that made my blood turn cold. Karen Mitchell, the HOA president, was standing in our front yard holding an empty pot. Sarah was on the ground, clutching her belly and crying. Steam was rising from her clothes, and I could see red marks on her arms. That's what you get for not following the rules. Karen was screaming. Your ugly flowers don't match the neighborhood standards. The neighbors had come out of their houses. Mrs. Johnson from next door was covering her mouth in shock. The Williams family across the street was staring in disbelief. Even the mailman had stopped his truck and was watching. But no one was helping my wife. I ran outside faster than I had ever moved in my life. Sarah was trying to sit up, tears streaming down her face. Her maternity dress was soaked, and I could see the angry red marks where the hot water had hit her. Sarah. I dropped to my knees beside her. Are you okay? Is the baby okay? It hurts so much, she whispered. My belly, the baby? I looked up at Karen, who was standing there with a satisfied smile on her face. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and cold blue eyes. Everyone in the neighborhood was afraid of her because she had power in the HOA and used it to make people's lives miserable. Your wife needs to learn to follow the rules, Karen said coldly. Those purple flowers are not approved for this neighborhood. I told her yesterday to remove them, but she ignored me. You threw hot water on a pregnant woman because of flowers? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She's being dramatic, Karen waved her hand. It wasn't that hot. Maybe next time she'll listen when I give her a warning. I helped Sarah stand up slowly. She was shaking and I could feel my anger growing like a fire inside me. But I knew I had to get Sarah to safety first. We're going to the hospital, I said firmly. And then we're calling the police. Karen laughed. Go ahead. Call whoever you want. I'm the HOA president. I have connections. Nothing will happen to me. Your wife was breaking the rules and I was enforcing them. The neighbors were still watching, but they looked away when I tried to make eye contact with them. They were all afraid of Karen too. At the hospital, the doctors checked Sarah and the baby. Thank God our little girl was okay, but Sarah had second-degree burns on her arms and stomach. The doctor was shocked when we told him what happened. Someone threw hot water on a pregnant woman over flowers? Dr. Martinez shook his head. That's assault. You need to call the police right away. But when the police came, Officer Reynolds just took notes and didn't seem very interested. We'll file a report, he said. But without witnesses willing to testify, it might be hard to prove. I knew what was happening. Karen had been terrorizing this neighborhood for years. She had connections, money, and power. People were afraid to stand up to her. But they didn't know who I really was. For the past 5 years, I had been living quietly as John Miller, Sarah's husband. We had moved here from the city looking for peace. I had told everyone I worked in computers from home. It was partly true, but it wasn't the whole truth. My real name is Jonathan Mitchell. Yes, the same last name as Karen, but we're not related. I'm a federal judge. Not just any judge, but one who handles cases involving civil rights violations and assault charges. I had taken a break from the bench after a difficult case involving child abuse. The stress had been too much, and Sarah and I decided I needed time away from the courtroom. We moved to this small town so I could recover and decide if I wanted to continue my career. But watching my wife suffer because of Karen's cruelty, seeing the fear in the neighbors' eyes, and knowing that this woman thought she was above the law, it woke something up inside me. That evening I made some phone calls. The next morning there was a knock on Karen's door. When she opened it, she found Detective Sarah Chin and 2 other officers standing there with an arrest warrant. Karen Mitchell, you're under arrest for assault and battery, assault with a dangerous weapon and civil rights violations. Karen's face went white. This is ridiculous. I'm the HOA president. You can't arrest me. I know people. Ma'am, please turn around and put your hands behind your back, Detective Chin said calmly. Do you know who I am? Karen demanded. I play golf with the mayor. My brother-in-law is a city councilman. Ma'am, Detective Chin replied, do you know who filed these charges against you? Judge Jonathan Mitchell. And I assure you his connections are much more important than yours. The color drained completely from Karen's face. She looked across the street at our house, where I was standing in the doorway with my arm around Sarah. For 5 years she had been the queen of Maple Street. She decided which flowers people could plant, what colors they could paint their houses, and how they should live their lives. She thought her small amount of power made her untouchable. But real power isn't about bullying people who can't fight back. Real power is about protecting those who need protection and making sure justice is served. As the police car drove away with Karen in the back seat, I saw neighbors starting to come out of their houses. Mrs. Johnson walked over first. I'm so sorry, she said to Sarah. I should have helped you yesterday. I should have stopped her. We were all scared, said Mr. Williams, joining us with his wife. Karen has made everyone's life miserable for years, but we didn't know how to stop her. You don't have to be scared anymore, I told them. Karen is going to face justice for what she did. Over the next few weeks, more neighbors came forward with their own stories about Karen's abuse of power. She had threatened people, damaged their property, and made their lives hell just because she could. The local newspaper picked up the story, HOA president arrested for attacking pregnant woman, federal judge seeks justice. Karen's lawyer tried to get the charges dropped, claiming it was just a neighborhood dispute. But when they realized they were going up against a federal judge who specialized in civil rights cases, they quickly changed their tune and advised Karen to take a plea deal. In court, Karen had to apologize to Sarah in front of everyone. She was sentenced to community service, had to pay for Sarah's medical bills, and was banned from serving in any HOA position ever again. But the real victory came 3 months later when Sarah gave birth to our beautiful daughter, Emma. She was healthy and perfect despite everything that had happened. As I held Emma in my arms at the hospital, Sarah smiled at me. I'm proud of you, she said. You could have used your power to get revenge, but instead you used it to get justice. She was right. I could have made Karen's life very difficult in ways she would never have understood. But that's not what justice is about. Justice is about making sure the right thing happens, not about revenge. When we brought Emma home, the entire neighborhood was waiting for us. They had decorated our house with purple flowers, the same ones that Karen had attacked Sarah for planting. There was a big banner that said, "Welcome home, baby Emma." Mrs. Johnson had organized it all. We wanted to show you that this is what our neighborhood really is, she said. We're a community that takes care of each other. I looked around at all the faces, people who had been living in fear for years but were now free to be themselves. Karen's reign of terror was over. That night, as Sarah and I put Emma in her crib, I thought about the lesson in all of this. Sometimes people think that power means being able to hurt others and get away with it. They think that having a title or connections makes them untouchable. But real power is using your position to protect people, not to hurt them. Real strength comes from standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. Karen learned that the hard way. She thought she was the most powerful person on Maple Street, but she was wrong. She never bothered to find out who her neighbors really were or what they were capable of when someone they loved was threatened. Now our neighborhood is peaceful again. People plant the flowers they want to plant. They paint their houses the colors they like. And when there are problems, they work them out like neighbors should, with respect and kindness. Emma is 6 months old now, crawling around our living room and laughing at everything. Sarah's scars have healed and she's stronger than ever. And I've decided to return to the bench because I've remembered why I became a judge in the first place, to make sure that justice is served and that people who abuse their power face the consequences. Karen's house has a for sale sign in the front yard now. I heard she's moving to another state. Maybe she'll learn to be a better person there. Or maybe she'll find out that there are people like me everywhere, people who won't let bullies win. Either way, Maple Street is a better place now. And Emma will grow up in a neighborhood where people look out for each other, where justice matters, and where no one is above the law. Sometimes the people you underestimate are exactly the ones who have the power to change everything. Karen learned that lesson too late, but it's a lesson that everyone should remember. Treat people with kindness and respect, because you never know who they really are or what they're capable of when you push them too far.